Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy. I'm Morgan, and today I am talking about how you have the power. Today's episode is going to be very interesting. I am going to be upfront with you all right now. I am a little scared to put out this episode because it is something that I feel very passionate about, but it is something that is very misunderstood, and it also has the ability to trigger people, which I'm also going to talk about triggers. And I understand that like right now it's a very unsure time in America, and that is why I want to do this episode. I also have written down that it might be a quick episode today because I have to take my cat to the vet. But you know what? I ended up writing 3 pages worth of notes. So I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. This is something that I think I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. And I touched on it a couple of episodes ago in the episode about your ideal state for magic. But I really want to go into it today because it is election day. So I am recording this on election day. It is my intention actually to get this episode out early and to get it to you on election day. If that does not happen, I apologize. But like I said, I have to take Kita to the vet because Kita is being Kita right now. And she's always had weird stuff happen to her. So we're taking her to the vet. Hopefully everything will be fine. But I really was called to talk about this, okay? And I understand that parts of what I'm going to say today, a lot of you won't resonate with, and a lot of you might get angry about, and I understand that. But I want to make sure, I want to ask you that you listen to the whole episode. If you are a Patreon member, you're going to get a bonus content that goes a little bit deeper into what I'm talking about today. But I just ask that you at least listen with an open heart. If we disagree, we disagree. And that if you are triggered by anything that I say today, that you continue to listen to the episode with an open heart and an open mind and decide to get to the bottom of the trigger, okay? And I might be blowing this way out of proportion to start off with, but I do like to give you all disclaimers if I'm going to talk about something a little iffy, a little questionable. And today's one of those days, okay? This is not a political episode, so I am not going to get political with you, okay? But what's going on in the United States right now and the energetic level of the United States right now is so thick, it is so tension-ridden that you can cut it with a knife, okay? And because I'm an empath, number one, but also because I have been really opening myself up, that's why the information that came to me today, it was like, you need to talk about this on your podcast today. You have to do this. And I was like, but some of this information is people are not going to accept it. And they're like, well, talk about it anyway. So, this is me pushing outside of my comfort zone and saying the damn thing. That's something I've been working towards lately, a lot lately, is saying the damn thing. I keep my mouth shut a lot. I know you all don't think that because here on the podcast, you do get the podcasts and the coven. I think I've said it in the past, get me. Like, honestly, and I don't know what the difference is between, I think I've said it in the past. It's because like right now I'm literally just talking to myself in a room with my computer going, like I'm recording it, but it's still me talking to myself. But out there in the real world, it's scary, and people can judge me, and people can be mad at me, and then they can leave. And so I'm really been working on some visibility shit and some, anyway, that's like way off topic, but that's the fun thing about my podcast, right? Anyway, this is not a political episode, okay? But what I want to share with you, because today is election day and because of the energetic state of the United States right now. And if you are listening from a different country, we're all jealous, just a little. Because whatever's happening in your country is not what's happening in America today. And it's fun. It's fun. Anyway, we'll get into that, okay? But I will tie it in because what I'm going to share with you all today can be applied to life. It does come from my own personal experiences, but you can also apply it to your magic, okay? So it is witchy. I'll tie it all in, I promise. But we're gonna get real today. All right, so, and you know what? I always start out with my notebook spread out, like, oh, I'm going to make as little noise as possible because I don't edit these a lot, and that's not happening today. We're just going to make noise. Okay, so this episode is called You Have the Power, like capital, like you have the power, okay? And that's what I'm going to talk about today, okay? You have the power. And if you're like, the power for what? Like that's it. End of statement, period. You have the power. And what I mean by that is you have the power over your thoughts, over your emotions, over your actions and your reactions. You have the power over your emotions. Did I already say that? Shit. Maybe I needed to emphasize it. You have the power to control your reaction to outside stimuli, okay? Things happening in your environment, shit happening in the world, shit happening in the room right next to you. You have the power to control your emotions, to take yourself out of a situation, to change your mind. And that's a huge one, okay? You have the power to change your mind, and sometimes that is the greatest power on earth, is the ability to change your mind or change your perception or change your perspective on something, okay? You have the power to heal or hurt. You have the power to love or hate. You have the power to grow or stay stagnant, okay? You have the power to manifest your desires or continue your life in a downward trajectory. If it's on a downward trajectory, you have the power to change it. If you don't change it, then you are choosing to remain on that downward trajectory. And I know that that is so hard to hear. And I'm going to put some caveats here in a second, not caveats, but like other disclaimers into effect here in a second, okay? You have the power to be a magnet, and you have the power to choose whether you attract positive things or negative things. And honestly, this is period. This is what I believe. I am how do I say this? This is what has been proven to me in my life. Okay, so this is 100% based on my experience, but it's also been based on the experience of other people who have also changed their life just by choosing something different. Okay. And I guess just the caveat here is I do want to point out that I am not a believer that you attract like shit to happen to you, like, you know, like bad things, you know, like tragedies or accidents or anything like that. I am not a proponent of that. So when I say that you have the power to heal or hurt, or you have the power to manifest your desires or continue your life in a downward trajectory, I understand that shit happens. And I am not a person that believes that, you know, one bad thing happening that spirals you was all your fault. I don't believe that at all. Okay. It's when it becomes more of a repeated pattern. And I like to call those people the Eeyore cloud people, who just always seem to walk around like, oh, everything happens to me. And oh, why does everything happen to me? And nothing ever goes right in my life. Those are the Eeyore cloud people. that's when you have to start to pick up and say, okay, there's one common denominator here, and that's me. you know? But I do believe that shit happens to people. I believe that bad things happen to good people. And it's kind of what you do moving forward. You know, I do believe tragedy happens. I do believe, just like I said, shit happens. And so I'm not one of those people. You find them in the new age, like the new age realm a lot, that they'll say, oh, well, you attracted that. You attracted that horrible thing to happen to you. Like, I do not believe that. So do not think moving forward with this podcast episode that I am in that realm at all. I do believe, though, that even after tragedy happens or after something happens, that's the point when you have the choice to change your life or to continue, you know, on that trajectory. Okay. And that's what I'm going to say about that. The mind and energy are both extremely powerful things. Okay. So you can choose what your mind focuses on. And where your mind focuses, that's where your energy flows. Okay. Once you figure out what you're focusing on, when your mind focuses on something, your energy will either raise to that level or it'll lower to that level, depending on what it is that you're focusing on. And whatever level your energy is vibrating at attracts more on that level. So I am a believer of that. Hold on, flipping the book over, flipping the notebook. So I do believe in that. Okay. I believe that whatever you focus, wherever your energy is vibrating at, you're going to attract more of that aligned energy. Okay. So I am going to throw it into layman's terms here today for a prime example of what's going on in our world. Okay. If you are staying glued to your TV or social media, stressed as shit, focused on the perceived downfall of the United States today, tomorrow, whatever. And here's the thing. Both sides are saying that if the other person wins, it's going to be horrible. All right. And we'll get to that in a minute too. Your energy is stressed. Your energy is vibrating at an extremely low level. Okay. Which means other things on that same vibrational level will be attracted to you, including, but not limited to, sickness or illness, and you got to watch out because it's cold and flu season, insomnia, emotional overload, headaches, stomach aches, tension and pain in the body, especially pain where you're like, I don't even know why this hurts. These are all types of things that vibrate at a lower level. So if you are glued to your television, if you are glued to social media, if you are freaking out about the fate of the United States of America and you are staying in that low vibrational level, just know that these are things that can occur because of that. Okay. And these are all things these are all personal. Like, I'm sure the list is huge, but I didn't do any research. These are all just things that I had noticed when I was so absolutely crippled with anxiety that I barely left my house. I was borderline agoraphobic for years. So these are the things that I came to realize on a personal level, that when my energy had shifted into a lower state, this is the shit that happened to me. Like, I was always sick for a while. Like chronically sick. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I think I even tested positive for mono at one point in my 30s. Like, who the fuck gets mono in their 30s? But it was just because I was living in such a state of fear, that when that's the state that you're vibrating at, I just had I broke my toe. I had like just inconvenient shit, you know? But that's what happens, is you're just vibrating at that level, and more things on that level come to you like a magnet, because you are a magnet too. So let that one sink in as well. So basically, you can choose to turn off your TV. You can choose to not stress and worry. You can choose to keep your power and your strength within yourself. and to remove yourself from the situation and watch it like actually, we're all watching it like a movie, aren't we? Unless you are part of one of the election teams, you have nothing to do with this. You are watching it like a movie. You are watching things happen. And I'm going to tell you something that for those of you that have anxiety and OCD, it may trigger you, but you have no control over what happens, okay? And the control that you had was whether or not you voted. And you chose to vote, and you chose to vote the way that you felt was the best and the way that you could sleep at night, okay? And that's all that you can do. So if that thought does not bring you peace and calm and groundedness, then you are choosing to stay in a state of anxiety and stress over this, okay? And I know that for those of you that are extremely fearful or are in a state of stress and fear at this moment, everything that I'm saying right now is going to piss you off. And I completely understand that. We're going to talk about, I might be there on my notes. Just give me a second to see where, because I go off and then I'm like, oh no, that's part of my notes. Hold on. Okay. So hold on before I get to that. You can choose to keep your power, keep your strength, and you can choose where your focus goes and what energy you attract back to you. Okay. These are all choices. Okay. Okay, good. I was there anyway. So if you are sitting here saying, but, Morgan, I have to see how this plays out. I have to keep tabs on it every single step of the day. I have to know what's going to happen, because if I don't, what's going to happen? That's a question. What's going to happen if you turn off your TV? What's going to happen if you put down your phone? Stuff's going to play out the way it's going to play out. You have no control over it. Okay? You have none. And I know that for those of you who are riddled with anxiety, and the fact that you don't have control is what's causing your anxiety, at some point you have to find peace in that. And that is a choice, to find peace in the fact that you have no idea what's going to happen. None. And hold on. Let me make sure that I am staying on track, and let me make sure that I am, I'm good. So no one knows what's going to happen. No one knows. And this is for both sides. Okay. No one knows who's going to win at this moment. We may not know for months. We may not. And I know that I'm sitting here laughing. And if you are so mad at me right now, you're like, how the fuck can she laugh right now? I'm going to get to all of it. Okay. If you are in that state where you're arguing with me right now and you're saying, but I have to, then you are choosing to stay in a stressed state. You are choosing to stay triggered. Okay. And what I want to say about triggers is this. Okay. Triggers, what I have found along my journey is things that trigger you as an invitation for you to shift your state, okay? Because what are triggers? Triggers are things that shift your state into fear, anger, jealousy, whatever, okay? It's something that causes an emotional reaction from you, okay? So triggers are an invitation for you. They're there to point out a state that you probably don't want to be in. And they're an invitation for you to shift that state. And that's what triggers are. Okay, so if this podcast episode is triggering you, it is an invitation for you to explore that more. All right. Now, my bonus Patreon people are going to get a little bit more into triggers in the bonus content today. But that's kind of just what I wanted to say about triggers. And how many other times can I say that word? So yeah, if you're part of the Patreon podcast tier, you're going to get bonus information on that. But basically, moving on, no one knows what's going to happen today, tomorrow, 6 months from now. And that's no matter who wins the election, okay? Both sides are saying, oh, well, if this person wins, the United States is going to hell. Both sides are saying it. If this person wins, the United States is going to hell. Seriously. So here's where I want to point out to you all that this is called fear mongering. And if you are fearful right now for the state of the United States, it does not matter who you voted for or which side you're on. If you are fearful right now for the future of the United States, then they have control over you. And they is whichever side has instilled this fear in you. So it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, who, whatever. Both sides are using fear mongering. And fear mongering is a control thing. I hate to, like, it was a beautiful statement, and then I was like, it's a control tactic. Okay. So either side, does not matter which side you are a part of. If you are full of fear, then they've done their job correctly. And do you want to know why they want you in a state of fear? Because if you are in a state of fear, you are much easier to control. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am saying that this is 100% true of either side. So it does not matter Republican, Democrat, or independent, or libertarian, or green. I don't care. Okay. Fear mongering is used to control people. Okay. It is easier to control people with fear because you cannot control people with love. And I will say that again. It is easier to control people with fear because you cannot control people with love. Okay? So you have got to remember that it does not matter which side you are on. Both sides are playing into fear-mongering. Both sides are trying to control the shit out of you right now. And that is politics. That is politics. So if you are getting so worked up, so stressed, you cannot see straight, you are so full of fear for the United States of America, then they have you exactly where they want you. They meaning whoever instilled the fear in you. Okay? My advice is if you love yourself, you'll drop the fear and view everything through the eyes of curiosity, because no one knows what's going to happen. And that is how I can sit here and laugh today. Am I stressed? No. I voted. I did my job. I voted for the people that I thought would do better. I mean, if y'all really truly want to know my thought on it, I will say this. I think the two-party system is stupid. I think that the two-party system has run for entirely too long, and we should have some more opinions thrown in. I'm an Aquarian, though. I'm all about humanitarianism. I'm all about coming together for the greater good. I'm all about choices and free thinking. So why does everything have to boil down to a two-party system? I just think it would be a hell of a lot more fun if we had more people at play. I think it would make people think more. So that's what I have to say about actual politics, okay? But I view everything through the eyes of curiosity. I very much, and I wore a long sleeve shirt today so you can't even see, but look back at past episodes if you're watching this on YouTube. I have an entire Alice in Wonderland half sleeve on my arm. It's a dark Alice, but it's still Alice in Wonderland. I am obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you can see all of this stuff back here, this whole top shelf, those are all Alice in Wonderland books. These are all different things. I had and I know if you're listening, you can't see this. It's on YouTube, okay? That's a pop that someone specifically made me. This is a Cabbage Patch Alice doll that an artist specifically made me. Like, I have an obsession with Alice in Wonderland. Okay, there's the hat up there. I love her because if you view the world through curiosity, oh my God, it opens up for you 100%. And I just got goosebumps. I just got affirmation bumps. So maybe somebody was supposed to hear that today. I even have, y'all can't see it, I've got posters and pictures of Alice in Wonderland all in this room. If you view the world through curiosity, then it overtakes fear. You're no longer afraid. You're like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen? What's going to happen when I open up that door? What's going to happen when I push that button? What's going to happen when the orange guy becomes president? What's going to happen when Kamala Harris becomes president? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So you look at the world through childlike eyes of curiosity, and everything becomes a moment to live in the moment, for one. If I'm sitting here looking at this election, what happens if Trump wins? What happens if Kamala wins? I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be, I don't know. What's going to happen? I have no fucking clue. This is how I look at the world. This smile is not fake. This is how I look at the world. Because you cannot be in a state of curiosity and fear. Like, I guess you could. You could be like, I don't know if I want to push that button, but I think I might. You're going to have that fear for a second. But if you look at it through curiosity, then you're entering a childlike playfulness into it. You're entering an innocence into it. And you're entering a state of collecting knowledge instead of fear. You have a freedom associated with curiosity, and that's how I'm in this state today. And and here's the other thing. I know some people might be asking, are you going to be watching the TV? Oh, hell yeah. We have the TV on now. There's nothing even happening. It's like 1 p.m. There's nothing happening. There's no votes coming in, or there's no tallies. There's nothing. We're going to be glued to the TV tonight, tomorrow, next week, every freaking day. It doesn't cause me stress because I've removed myself from it, and I am watching this from a purely curiosity standpoint. Okay? And I know if you're like, oh man, she's shallow or whatever, I get it. I completely understand. But I also have no control over it. So why sit and worry? Why sit and bite my fingernails and worry myself and have insomnia and possibly, sick or feel a pain all day? I don't know. I'm keeping my power over here, and we're going to watch what happens with a childlike curiosity. In fact, I said it to someone in my inner circle last night. We were on the phone, and I flat out told her, I was like, if the world's going to burn, if the United States is going to burn, I'll fucking bring s'mores, because there's nothing I can do. I did what I can do. I voted. Okay? So all of this can definitely be applied to your magic, okay? And I told you I would bring it full circle. The thing is the way to apply this to your magic is to check your state. And if you're coming from a state of fear, then that's what you're going to attract. So if you come from a state of love, then that's what you're going to attract. Okay, and that goes right back to the episode a couple of weeks ago about your ideal state for magic. But I think so listen to that. That's how I kind of bring it full circle. But as far as today is concerned, and life, and kind of the point that I want to make very clear here is try switching into a state of curiosity with your magic. Like, I think a lot of witches put so much emphasis on a spell. Like, okay, I need to do this money spell, or I can't pay my rent. Again, I think I used that as a thing in the past episode or that was the example I used for coming from a state of fear. Like, oh, if I can't pay my rent, then I'll get kicked out and this and this and this, and you kind of snowball this fear. But I think a lot of witches put so much into a spell too. Like, I'm going to put everything, I'm going to do this spell perfectly. And then what happens? If it doesn't work, they internalize that. They take it on themselves like, oh, well, I must be a shitty witch because I couldn't even do this simple spell correctly. And that's where I'm telling you, if you approach your magic with a state of curiosity, the same thing happens. You're releasing your expectations of what you think that spell is supposed to do, or you're releasing you're severing the tie between who you are and your spell, what you've done. And that is so important in magic. So even approaching your magic, approaching spells and rituals with a state of curiosity of like, well, I'm going to do this money spell. Is it going to work? I don't know. I would love to see it work because, like that would be great. But, maybe it'll also be a learning technique or a learning lesson for me to do a different technique when it comes to the spell. But I don't know. So I'm going to do it and we're going to see what happens because it could work. It could be amazing. Or it could not work. And it doesn't mean anything about me. It just means that I got to change some things up and maybe try again. But that's probably the biggest thing for this episode that I want you all to take away is shifting into a state of curiosity is so freeing. It really, truly is. It takes so much pressure off of you and your desires and how you see the world as well. And it keeps you in that childlike state, which is so beautiful. I think so many adults get caught up in adulting so much and the pressures and the stress of just being an adult that we forget. We forget, in a sense, we forget being a child. Our inner children are screaming for attention. And switching your state into that of curiosity, it just opens up the world for you. That's what it's done for me, at least. All right. That's it. Hell yes. That's it. It literally says, my state, curiosity, explain in own words. That's what my notes say. So that's it. All right. So for the Patreon members, we're going to be going into, I think I'm going to tell you a little story about how I finally broke through my anxiety, but we're going to really go into triggers and what to do and how you can shift your state from them. So I do want to do my Patreon shoutouts. So if you're like, what the hell is she talking about? Patreon.com/InkedGoddessCreations. I have 3 different paid tiers. Okay. The first one is the $5 podcast tier. You get a shout out on my podcast as a thank you for being a supporter of me and my witchy creativity. And then you get bonus podcast content. Okay, that's only a $5 tier. The middle tier is $9. It's called Prophecy Portal. I do a tarot pull for the week energetically every Sunday or Monday. And then the top tier is Magical Manuscripts, which also gets you 2 to 4 Book of Shadow page PDF downloads a month you can print out and add to your Book of Shadows or add them to your digital Book of Shadows. I will say real quick to the $13 members, thank you for sticking with me. I know I've only gotten you 1 set of Book of Shadow pages. I literally have 3 others in the works right now. I just have to finish them and get them to you all. So thank you for sticking with me because I promise you're going to get inundated with some Book of Shadow pages here soon. So again, that's patreon.com/InkedGoddessCreations. My new members for the week include, so I'm giving a huge thank you to Dina, Wendy, Rachel J, Nikki, Morgan, and Sandra. Thank you all so much for supporting me and my crazy witchiness right now. But I want to thank all of you for listening, for giving me a platform to be a little vulnerable and share very important stuff with me. I would love to know your thoughts on this week's episode. If it helped you, if it's, fuck you, Morgan, I get it too. And I knew that by saying some of the things today, I know that reactions to this episode might be all over the place. But I just, again, ask you to let what I say sink in just a little And again, we can have differing opinions. We 100% can. That's what makes the world beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, is that people don't have to see eye to eye every step of the way to still be like, well, I don't really resonate with what she was saying, but I respect her ability to say it, if nothing else, But yeah, thank you all, and I will see you all again next week. Bye.